They want to go the lefty-righty matchup and all that and replace
that's
one.
That's overmanaging.
Yes.
And that's overmanaging, or that's just, hey, that's progress, a lot of people would say. If you're going to blame the hitters, and I think it's more pitchers than hitters, but I think hitters stepping out is bad. Blame David Ortiz, blame Nomar Garciaparra, pair of Red Sox who both took about a half hour between each pitch, whether they fouled it off, swung, or did absolutely nothing. It's like OCD reigning supreme with those two. I don't think that's good. The one thing about like the Bob Gibsons of the world putting guys away, back in those days, I know Gibson was a dominant pitcher and everything, but there were way fewer strikeouts. They were willing to let guys put the ball in play, and right now, all of the strategy in the game is concentrated on, keeping the ball from being put in play. So that's going to contribute to more pitches, pitchers trying to bury balls in the dirt, batters looking for that and not really swinging. It's just all reached like critical mass at one point here, and now you have an almost unwatchable product too often. And
you said it exactly right at the beginning of the show. It's strikeouts, walks, and home runs. That's what baseball has turned into. Let's go out to Basil. Is that Basil out in Butler? What's up, Basil?
That's me.
Hey, what's up, man? I was just in Butler today.
Hey, I just want to tell you something. I've seen Clemente play for many years. I'm 65 years old.
Okay.
And if you want to see an outfielder know how to play baseball, you should have been there when I was there.
Yeah. Hey, I would have loved to see Clemente play, Chris. I mean, I saw highlights. He's probably the top 10 outfielder of all time, right? I mean, a lot of people would around here would say he's probably a top 4, but I'm just going to conservatively say top 10.
I mean, he's one of the greatest defensive players of all time. He's one of the best hitters of all time. He's certainly the most iconic Pittsburgh Pirate of all time, and I include Honus Wagner, Willie Stargell, guys like that in there, even Ralph Kiner, who started on all those bad teams. You know why you would say something like that if you were Basil and you're 65 and you're calling from Butler to tell everybody what's what about outfield play? If you had to watch Gregory Polanco Bambi on icing it out there in right field every night, I could understand how you'd feel a certain kind of way and pine for the memories of watching Roberto patrol things out there. Because you want to talk about a night and day difference when it comes to competence. There's your difference. Whew.
Definitely, for sure. Let's go out to Dave out in South Park. How you doing, Dave?
Hey, Rich.
Hey.
Just real quick, I just finished watching the Bruins and the Capitals play.
Yeah.
And, man, they beat the crap out of each other. Do you think the Penguins can play the physical game if they make it to the next round that both of those teams play?
You know, that's a good question. I do think they have some physicality on this team. They could really use a Ryan Reeves right now, Chris, but they want to be more finesse.
Head coach didn't want him.
Yeah, they want to be more finesse.
Head coach didn't want to. Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, Sullivan alluded to all this today, right, about handling the forecheck and that's the way the league is going, is heavier teams who get in there on the forecheck. I think the natural inclination is to want to see the Penguins fight fire with fire a little bit, and you can absolutely get in there on the forecheck aggressively. I thought the Tanev, Bluger, Aston Reese line did a pretty good job of that, but the Penguins don't have physically bigger guys, so maybe the toll that it takes on opponents is not as great, but if you're looking at the most relevant part of this discussion, which is how do the Penguins combat teams that play heavy, that forecheck, you might not like it because it's not the Penguins getting theirs in return, but they've got to move the puck out. They've got to counter power, aggressiveness with mobility and speed and breaking out of the zone very quickly, very efficiently, and making teams pay for having one or two forwards trapped up ice on a forecheck that doesn't go anywhere.
But here's what concerns me. They're not the team that they were in 16 and 17. They're not that fast as that team was. Hey, they're fast, and they can play fast, but they can't play like they did in 2017.
Well, I would argue that a little bit. I would have agreed with you completely, but they add Tanev in there. He's a complete maniac. When you get Matheson involved now with Letang on the back end, I think in Matheson you've added a player who, with his skating ability and the fact that they've largely, in the last 2 months, kept him away from catastrophic mistakes, I do think it gives you a little bit more mobility than you would have had coming into this season and makes you, as a team, a little bit more capable of playing close to the way you played when you were dominant in 2016, for example.
I don't know if Matheson is Schultz, though. I mean, if you're gonna talk about
he's a better
mobility.
skater than Schultz, but he looks like he's trying to handle a live grenade right now every time the puck is on his stick in the playoffs. So that's a little bit disconcerting, I have to admit.
All right, let's go out to Bill out in Newcastle. How you doing, Bill?
Good, Richie. How you doing, Chris?
Good.
First-time caller. Wanted to talk about Ray Miller and his three-pronged philosophy on work fast, throw strikes, and change speeds. I think if more pitchers did that, they might continue to have success, but the game might speed up a little also. I think a lot of that is related to the pitchers.
Yeah, Chris, what's your idea of speeding up the game?
I mean, I do think it involves probably maybe eventually having to put a clock on pitchers and maybe having to put some sort of restriction on hitters stepping out, although they've still got to be able to get the signs. I don't know. You've got to do something with the ball where putting the ball in play is not as dangerous, where it might go over the fence now. I think when you have a ball that's pretty lively and pitchers who are spinning the crap out of the ball, you're just going to have a lot of home runs when guys do connect and a lot of strikeouts when they don't. I mean, the Ray Miller philosophy is great, but it's a little, it's a bit of an anachronism. I think that's how guys were pitching even up to the mid-90s, and then the strikeouts started to reign supreme. I will quickly say this, though. You want pitchers to just perform better in general. Still a lost art, being able to command your fastball and throw it where you want it. I think if you had guys working consistently ahead more often across Major League Baseball, you'd have hitters forced into a more defensive posture.
And I think we're also we're heading into the direction of seeing starters maybe go 5 innings, and you have specialist starters now, 5 innings, not the Garrett Coles that potentially can go 7 or 8. All right, we got to go to our Tri-State Office Furniture tweet of the day. And this is a good one from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Troy Polamalu is going to have Dick LeBeau introduce him. He's going to be the presenter at the Pro Football Hall of Fame coming up in August. So nice tweet by the Steelers. We got to take a break. Back in a couple minutes.